None of the following should be taken as business, investment, legal, or tax advice. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome, Aaron. Very nice to see you. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Turpal? How do I say your first name? I should really be polite and ask.
Turpal, yeah.
Turpal.
That's
Okay.
the way to say it, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
thank you for getting my name right. I hope I got yours right too. Aaron is not a difficult name. I'm
Unless you like the
reminded.
Key and Peele skit, the AA
Yeah, I was
Ron,
about to
people
say
say
that. I
that.
was about to. You just read my mind there, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice to have a fellow colleague, fellow YouTuber on the podcast. This is the first time for me, and I've been getting into the topic of cryptocurrency trading quite a lot lately. And I have a lot of questions for you because I studied, I researched, and I went through the depths of FOMO and even made a video on it. So yeah, it's going to be good to talk to someone who's a seasoned veteran in this space, and I hope to get things going. But first of all, bit of an introduction from yourself. I mean, I'm sure everyone who's going to watch our interview later is going to know who you are. But for those who come around as a first time that don't know you, what would you say to them?
Yeah. So my name is Aaron Dishner. I have a company called The Better Traders. So I have been on YouTube since 2018. It's been a really long grind, but it's been really good. I've
Wow.
been focusing on cryptocurrency trading using automated trading platforms.
Mhm.
Um, and in 2019, I launched a business with a guy I'd never met that lives in Canada. And we founded the Better Traders in 2019, launched courses in November of that year, and the rest is history. Like, so it's just been nuts. And now I am posting videos daily on my channel. I'm also a contributor to the Coin Bureau YouTube
Mm.
channel. The main channel, I think, has, I can't remember the number. It's millions. It's like 2 million or 5 million. I
Wow.
can't remember. But it's massive. And I'm also contributing to their Coin Bureau trading channel and more Coin Bureau. Also my own channel. I'm also partnered up with a company called Kitco. Kitco
Mhm.
Media talks mainly about gold and precious metals, but we have a partnership
Wow.
with them and a company called Mastering Assets. So yeah, just a couple of things.
Well, just a couple of things. I mean, daily content and so many partnerships and contributing to many other channels. You truly are on a grind, as you said. And yeah, 2018, that's a very early year to start. I mean, just before the crypto winter hit and when things are
Yeah.
just starting to get better for crypto. And I guess that would have been a good time to start. Can't say so about myself, started only recently, but the path towards the cryptocurrency trading, learning about it, researching has been nothing short of exciting for me. And I hope that
Mm.
same excitement is still with you here again because we've been on a grind for so long. And boy, do I have many questions to ask, and I'm getting too excited. I should start slow. So, Better Traders, can you
Yeah.
tell me more about it? What is the main goal of it? I mean, I guess the main goal of it is to trade better, but what's the main purpose and how do you go about it?
I upon joining cryptocurrency and the market, the space, um, I quickly found out
Mhm.
that it does not behave the same as the traditional stock market. It does not behave the same way as commodities or forex, foreign exchange markets. So it took a couple of months to really figure out how crazy this space is. And if you zoom back in time 7 years, back to 2018, the market cap for everything was so different. Those were the days where Bitcoin would pump and dump 20-30%. It was crazy. There was still just the same amount of scams and vaporware as there is today, but the main difference as I started back then to where I am now is that while the market cap of Bitcoin has changed, the fundamentals haven't. While the tickers have come and gone to come in and out of the top 10, the same strategies have played and replayed over and over and over again. So I've actually been a teacher. I moved to Japan in 2009, where I still currently live. And I mentioned to you before this started, but there's literally a thunderstorm, thunder and lightning storm happening right now that it's literally going crazy. So I'm glad you, I kind of wish you could hear it. I like storms, but anyway,
I love storms
the,
too.
yeah. The reason why we launched the courses is because I have experience as a teacher. So I started as a music teacher in 2009, and it's been great. And I have been told repeatedly, oh, you're such a good teacher. You're such a good teacher. Like, this works, like, you do really well in this profession. So I like the transition to YouTube is really easy, but I didn't really think about courses or educational training. I was just making educational videos because I was learning about different teaching and instruction methods, like the flipped classroom, which came in really handy during COVID when everyone was doing virtual learning. But that actually translates really well to online courses, online learning, and that's really where the Better Traders took off, was in the pandemic, actually, because a lot of people were at home. A lot of people were concerned about the economy, and a lot of people had stimulus checks. And of course, you probably remember this, but even the stock market was booming in late 2020 into 2021. So it was an amazing time. So the reason why we launched the courses, the reason for the Better Traders, is because I have made so many mistakes. And please do not interpret this as I am the best trader. I still make mistakes. I still get the worst possible entries. But what I've learned about crypto over the years is that even if I take a terrible, terrible entry, I know how to exit those positions in profit 98% of the time. Rarely will I take an actual loss. Yeah, but I've been learning a lot about this space, understanding how it behaves. Yes, it has grown significantly since 2018, but the emotional aspects are still there. So I wanted to package that all together in a linear format, and that's where the Better Traders came to be.
All the power to you. I just heard that and I was getting so excited about Better Traders. I kind of wish to check it out. I mean, I'm still very cautious of trading because
Mm.
for me, it's more on the emotional spectrum of things. I
Yeah.
can't imagine making 5K on a trade and then going back to a normal job. That's just not something that's going to happen for me. So yeah, still very cautious about it. But I do get the main idea of it, and I'm just so on board because again, the content that I've been making on the channel is also very educational in some sense. I try
Mhm.
to put some memes on it to give it like a funny spin, but overall, the path, I guess, for me is the same as you. I also used to work as a teacher, but I was teaching English,
Mm.
like
Oh, wow.
C2 English to people that are out of foreign countries coming into England and the USA. But
Mm.
still, a very similar path for everyone that does content eventually. We've had an interview with Scott Milker,
Mhm.
who was also a DJ before, and he also mentioned
Yeah.
the fact that yeah, it was a very easy transition for him to do crypto content, and yeah, it's just something about crypto that gets everyone captivated, especially people that do music and create content. But
Yeah.
overall, yeah, couldn't be more on board with you again because it's the educational side of it and the way you actually say that you make mistakes and you're being man enough to admit that you make mistakes and you learn from it and you actually take that knowledge and give it away to someone else is just nothing short of amazing. But the next question that comes from this is again tied to cryptocurrency trading. What was it that got you into crypto? Because again, when we're talking about cryptocurrency trading, it's a miss for some people.
Mm.
It definitely is a miss for me because again, I can't be, I cannot not be emotional when trading. And so, what is it for you that excites you and makes you going in the space and makes you grind so hard and doing 10 projects at a time?
I think it was in early 2019. I just had one of those shower thought moments where I just had a great idea for a video. It's still on my channel, although it's like buried somewhere. But the whole idea was around three P's, like the reason for your why for investing or trading. And that's patience, plan, and purpose. So you can't learn about anything if you don't have the patience to go through it, and you need to have a plan in order to reach that purpose for what you're trying to do. Ooh, that was literally right outside. I'm surprised the whole room didn't just go like um
Must have your blinds on, right?
yes. So I'm really big into purpose. Why trading? Why even invest this time? Because my original why is because I have a wife, I have a daughter. We moved here when my daughter was 3. She's now since graduated the school. She's in college, and we also adopted a Japanese boy, my son, in 2015. So it's been a an amazing adventure. I'm sorry, 20. Let's see, 2012. I always get the dates mixed up. That's okay. but he is now 11 years old, which is insane. But when we adopted him, the weight of that decision just all of a sudden went, whew, because working at an international school, at a private school, the salary isn't that amazing. So I was looking for alternative ways to, help my salary grow. And of course, I looked at like the gig economy. I looked at like doing stuff on like Fiverr. But all of that was just like so time intensive, and I just didn't really get any joy from it. I had a call with my mom to talk about investing, all that stuff. And she said, well, if you really want to get into investing, first you should pay off your credit cards, good advice. Then you should pay off your student loans, really good advice. And then look into 401ks, look into like the S&P or different like indices that are just more stable. But whatever you do, don't invest in penny stocks. And I said, oh, Mom, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time sharing all this with me. Hung up the phone and I started looking at penny stocks. What are these? Why do I not want to trade these? So then I started trading them. Actually, it was the best decision because the volatility in penny stocks is very similar to how the cryptocurrency market behaves. But the big thing that really was the turning point for me to move to crypto is the fact that the stock market closes. It's not open 24/7. I didn't really know at that time either about Forex or commodities, and it's probably for the best. So I forced myself to understand swing trading, started researching indicators, but really it just didn't click for me. And when the orange pill moment for Bitcoin for me was actually on a flight. I was going to a music conference in Berlin. And on my flight, there were these two German guys sitting next to me who were returning back to Berlin after living in Thailand for a year off of their Bitcoin. They bought way early and they're just enjoying life and using their Bitcoin earnings. And yeah, right. And this is back in 2018 too. So just think of how much that BTC is worth now, which is insane. Hopefully they left some. So they were just, I just had tons of questions for them because I had heard a lot about it at that time. In about September and October 2018, Bitcoin was just making new all-time highs left, right, and center. So I was like, okay, you guys just have to help me understand what's the appeal? Why is this so good? Why is it going up? What else should I be paying attention to? And they just shared everything they possibly could. When I landed, I basically closed my trading account on the stock market, moved all my funds to the bank account, signed up for Binance, put money in, bought Ethereum, and didn't look back.
And that's
So,
how the
yeah.
usual story begins for your everyday crypto trader. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of got the same appeal for Bitcoin. Uh, I got acquainted with it pretty much at around the same time. It was 2017, I think. I was working in a hotel as a reservations manager. It was a pretty big hotel. And near to our office, the sales office, was the IT office.
Mm.
And the main IT guy in there, he had a Bitcoin farm running in that office. And the main appeal of it was, what is this big technical thing that has so many good GPUs that I could probably get a good use of in my PC?
Mm.
And he started explaining, oh, this is a Bitcoin farm. And he started telling me all about it. He didn't even know what the consensus mechanism was or how Bitcoin was minted. He just joined the network. He was minting his Bitcoin, getting rewards. I think he joined a mining pool that gave him like pretty bad cash back on everything that he did because it was like a pretty big farm. It had like 10 GPUs in it. But still, it was very fascinating to see this machine. It was built on plywood. And the build itself was pretty miserable at that, but yeah, it's something that sparked my curiosity. I learned what Bitcoin was. I was looking at the price, and I thought, okay, this is not something that I can get into. Bitcoin, I don't know what it was trading at around that time, but it seemed just miles away from something that I could invest into. But here we are now in 2025, and Bitcoin has been hitting 121K, and it's just nothing short of insane how that happens. Because again, the technology behind it, the main purpose, peerless peer-to-peer cash system that just empowers so many economies that are bankless, allows people to be a part of something bigger and actually enter this world economy and have cash that is not tied to your country's economic state, if we
Yep.
can say that. But yeah, it's nothing short of amazing. And
Mm.
if we're talking about Bitcoin, I would like to ask you a pretty banal question, but it's something that I wanted to hear from you. And I gotta say, I haven't watched all of your videos. There's just so much content on there, and I was
Yeah.
looking through some of the things, and something that especially clicked for me was your opinion on Bitcoin. And so I'd like to ask you, what's your favorite thing about Bitcoin, and what do you hate most about it? Just a simple question like that.
As far as like the tech,
Overall,
okay. I like
yeah,
that the number goes up.
yeah, that's truly
um,
something to like, especially if you hold Bitcoin.
but to be serious, I like the fact that it's immutable money. It's trustless money. You don't need a third party person. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I'm not a big like the world is ending kind of guy. But I like the fact that Bitcoin gives you a lot of freedom. And with that same freedom, the thing that I don't like about Bitcoin is the now archaic way of storing your seed and all that fun stuff. Or if you happen to lose your seed phrase, then you lose all your Bitcoin. It's a little bit of a rat's nest to also do taxes and map out transactions and things like that. So those are like the big things that I didn't realize getting into it. Before I was just like, oh, the number's going up. This is exciting. Everyone's talking about this. I want some of this too. And then I learned more about the technology. It's like, wow, this is really incredible. It's life changing. But there are a lot of obstacles to people that are not tech savvy, and even people that are relatively tech savvy. There's so many more things you have to learn and have to understand and pay attention to. Like it's dizzying.
Absolutely. I agree with your take, but there's also something that I wanted to
Mm.
uh, add to that. It's the fact that there are so many bad actors in the space, in the way they use Bitcoin, and the way they work around getting your Bitcoin and exchanging it for cash that is pretty much laundered money from casinos or uh, any type of bad criminal activity that you get. And so usually you get these peer-to-peer platforms that exchange your crypto for any currency that in a country you're currently in, and
Mm.
what happens is you end up becoming a victim of getting money onto your bank account that was pretty much laundered from some criminal activity, and you can
Mm.
get in a lot of trouble for this. Your bank account might freeze. You might get arrested. You might get into overall pretty bad situation, and that's the
Yep.
thing that I hate about it because again, regulation is not something that we've got right now in terms of the worldwide recognition of crypto. I mean, with ETFs,
Hmm.
that kind of comes naturally, but
Yeah.
ETFs are another topic too, and I'll have a question about that. But
Mm.
the bad actors, the scams, the exploits, and they keep happening all the time. I recently discovered flash loan exploits, and it was so insane to see how one guy can just pretty much use that exploit and take hundreds of millions of dollars from an exchange, the premise of which is like this centralized place where you can store your assets and forget about all the worries in the world. But that's not the case, and this is something that still upsets me more and more,
Mm.
because again, we also post daily content, and that daily content usually involves covering some kind of hack or a scam or exploit. And so I wanted to ask you, what is the most infamous scam you've seen, or a hack or an exploit, and what keeps you up at night in terms of that?
When I first joined in the crypto space, the first exchange that went down on me was Cryptopia, which is a New Zealand based exchange. Binance also got hacked a couple times. KuCoin got hacked. QuadrigaCX, a Canadian exchange, went down. And then, of course, you get like FTX in 2022, BlockFi, Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, Terra Luna crashing. Like there have been no shortage of disastrous events to happen in crypto. The big lesson that I've learned from the first one is to never, ever, ever keep all of your crypto on a centralized exchange. When I first joined crypto, centralized exchanges were it. Even before I joined, there was the whole Mount Gox hack, which is actually here in Japan. It's in Tokyo, the old headquarters. And the big lesson from that is again, if you don't have access to your coins where you can freely move them around, like the saying goes, not your keys, not your coins, then you have significant risk. I have always adopted the practice of keeping the majority of my coins offline, in cold storage, as we call it. So that way I have a device where I can approve of a transaction when I want to move the coins. But I do have a lot of funds as well on exchanges because I'm a trader. And the best way for me to trade is going to be on exchanges for making either, these small little transactions, scalps, or bigger swing trades or leverage trading, things like that. I used to look at centralized exchanges as the bad guys, but then I just realized they're just bad guys in general in every sector of the world. So the best thing that you can do is to take preventative action, make sure that you have your assets in multiple places. And this is the part that makes it a little bit tricky to track. But it is best practice to not have sub accounts on the same exchange, but have multiple exchanges and then trading on multiple exchanges for maybe even different purposes on multiple exchanges. But it can get confusing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That's usually the advice that I give on, uh, when I cover these exploits, and everything that you mentioned, I've covered already, and so I'm kind of running short on those. But yeah, the more and more I research, the more I find out. And QuadrigaCX was also a funny one. That was the one where the CEO allegedly died in an accident and lost his keys, right? Yeah,
A
that's
boating accident, I believe.
insanity. How does one even come up with that? I mean,
I know.
just take so much money and just disappear off the face of the earth. But
Yeah.
yeah, and you had a take on centralized exchanges. You said they were kind of the bad guy. What makes you say so?
Oh no, I used to think that they were the bad guys. But I've come to realize that no, they're just a business. They want people to trade because that's how they make money. They don't want their platforms to be hacked. They don't want a vulnerability because that damages and tarnishes their reputation. But at first I was naive because I was always blaming everyone else. Just like anyone does in crypto, you think it's so safe and everything is, so rosy and nice. But when you realize, well, no, there's a lot of money at stake. And it's not even just centralized exchanges. There are also decentralized protocols that can get hacked. There are even white hat hackers that are exposing, what is it, like exploits and like bugs and stuff like that. So it's all in how you look at it. Yes, you can have the best possible exchange with the most, what do they call it? Yes, security audits, and there could still be a hack. So it's just good practice not to blame the exchange. It's good practice. If you talk to anyone that lost money in FTX or BlockFi or Celsius, they will agree with me. Just keep some of your funds on an offline wallet just in case. Just don't touch it and just leave it. Actually, what I do is at the end of every single month, I tally up my profit and my loss. And when I got a profit, which is most of the time, I'm going to take a chunk of that and move it to my offline wallet and I don't touch it. So it's just, again, like just trying to taking agency over your portfolio. A lot of people look at crypto as like internet money, magic internet money that it doesn't really exist because you can't tangibly see it or touch it, smell it, feel it. But the reality is that it is life-changing. It can have very physical, life-changing rewards and benefits to it. So you have to treat it really carefully, extremely carefully.
You're absolutely right. I mean, technically, if you're not keeping your crypto safe, I mean, what's going to happen with it? It's just laying there. It's probably just gonna get taken away. But usually, even if it is like a big exchange that gets hacked or exploited, there are certain insurance measures. And if it's not some DeFi protocol that no one knows about, and there are no insurances there, then you're pretty much toast. But yeah, overall good advice. And if we're talking about exchanges that get hacked, I mean, something that comes to mind is Bybit and the
Mm.
massive 1.5 billion that was stolen from it, and the way they handled that situation was probably the best I've ever seen.
Yep.
CEO just comes around, just fixes everything, covers everything, makes opens a bounty. I don't want to say goes bounty hunting for the stolen funds, but yeah, it was kind of what happened. And
Kind of, yeah.
yeah, it was just such an amazing display of stoicism in this space, because that's not
Mm.
something you usually see. Usually, you see a meltdown, which which leads to something like Voyager, Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those were honest to God like scams, because again,
Yep.
I mean, they worked up until they didn't, and that's what usually happens when you when that greed consumes you. And this is what
Yeah.
Scott Milker was saying on an interview. There was a bit of regret in going into those, but again, it would have not been your fault because you trust a system that works, and then someone just goes and says, you know what, I'm out on a beach somewhere, and that's my stop.
Yep.
But to not let that happen, there are, of course, a lot of security audits, as we mentioned, and the security checks also come in. But still, the immutability of blockchain is there. It's just that something that happens, whether it's an exploit or a hack,
Yeah.
is something that is happening at the fault of the human. So I wouldn't blame the technology behind crypto, the blockchain. It's something that happens on a mistake of a human being or the moment of inattentiveness. Phishing scams are probably the easiest to use. And I'm not sure if you've seen this, but the CFO of Kraken and Kit Boga, the guy who calls up the guy who pretends to be like an old grandma trying to get scammed by Indians, and there's this whole "do not redeem the card" meme that just sparked an intense backlash against scammers and the Indian scam centers. That's the kind of thing that I like to see. These measures being taken to make sure that crypto is not going to be seen as this bad thing, something to
Yeah.
be very skeptical about. Because again, the technology behind it is powerful, and if you compare it to your real world trading, like stock exchanges or banks, they still get hacked, they still get exploited, but for some reason it's crypto that's getting all the backlash. And
Exactly.
so I wanted to ask you, what is your take on the opinion of crypto, of the media, like your mainstream media, the way they just cut it down and shut it down every time they get a chance, pretty much going against us, the guys who are making content about crypto, the technology behind it? What is your take on it?
JP Morgan is one of
Mm.
the worst examples of this. The best.
I knew that would be there. I knew that
Because
would be there.
for one, it's the guy who's calling it Bitcoin rat poison. I don't know. That was, I think it was Warren Buffett, rat poison squared. I can't remember who, maybe Charlie Munger. But he was just ragging on Bitcoin over and over and over back in 2018, 2019, only to come out like, oh, we have an ETF. Oh, we've been secretly buying and accumulating, driving the price down, trying to get as much bad news about it to freak people out, right? And yet he's the same guy. His bank is fined almost once a month, hundreds of millions of dollars for breaking rules, for like drug busts and stuff like that. Like, it's insane. If you think about the amount of dollars that are used and abused going through shell companies, whether it's in or out of the United States, Swiss banks, don't even get me started. Like, the amount of crime that is committed with cash, not just USD, but cash around the world. In Japan, the biggest form of crime here is white collar crime. It's embezzling, it's moving money that shouldn't be moved, it's stealing money from people. Like, it's not like physical violence, it's financial violence. And yet the target is on the back of BTC. Why? I think it's because cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, like you said about 10 minutes ago, it provides an escape hatch for people that are in, basically, they have no hope. If you think about Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, did an incredibly brave thing by mining Bitcoin, using renewable energy. How can people not enjoy that? He's not even costing, like, it's not costing anyone anything. Yes, there's a little bit of like a disruption in how people and merchants had to receive payments, but that was literally the best thing they could have done, because now they are generating so much cash that they have insanely like restructured and reinforced their infrastructure so that they basically have zero crime, they have free healthcare, free hospitals, like free education, and they're teaching students about Bitcoin, how to mine it, why it's important. Like, it's night and day, especially against the US, where the US and even the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is that what it is? But the international bank is saying to them, you shouldn't be buying Bitcoin. You shouldn't be doing this. And he's like, I'm a sovereign country. You can't tell me what to do. And even before Trump was president, the previous president was having people on his council like criticizing Bukele for what he's doing. It's like I remember him posting on X like, you're over there, I'm over here. What does it matter what I do? It's like, it's clearly like, if anything, it's always good publicity. Anytime a politician attacks Bitcoin, everyone goes, why is that a bad thing? Tell me why it's a bad thing. If you think back, I think it was Janet Yellen. I think that's her name. It's been a long time, but there's just this infamous screenshot of her talking about all this stuff. And there's a guy with a sign behind her that says, buy Bitcoin. That's an OG meme from the days. Yes. The reason why Bitcoin, I believe, why it scares most national treasuries is because it threatens to dethrone their own currency. And I believe that while the approach that Trump has had is not necessarily the best because of him launching a meme coin and now World
On
Liberty
his
Financial.
inauguration day, I think it was, which
Yeah.
is not going to be topped ever by any other altcoin
No,
in the entire history of crypto.
insane. But the things that he is doing that are pro crypto are good. He's seeking regulation.
Yeah.
He's removing a lot of these policies in place to try to debank individuals or crypto companies or individuals in the United States that run crypto companies that were previously targeted. What was it called? Like chokehold 2.0 or something like that. So I like the things that he is doing. I don't like the other stuff, but you can't get one without the other with Trump. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
But I think that he
always got to win.
Yeah, he's done a lot for the crypto space to improve it and to improve accessibility for the United States and citizens thereof. And the other thing that's really important is that, I mean, I'm an expat. I live in Japan, but I'm American. The policies and the decisions that the United States makes about anything trickle down to every other country, whether we want it to or not. For some reason, the entire world and most of the world, they're not Americans, but everyone cares about what Jerome Powell is going to say or what Trump is going to say, or unfortunately what Eric Trump is going to say about buy the dip on Ethereum. It's like, I told you so, like 3 months later, after it dipped like 40%. People give a lot of stock and a lot of weight to what the US does. So for all of the shortcomings that Trump's presidency has caused financially, whether it's tariff fears, whether it's his own meme coin, he is doing things, especially with his cabinet picks, like Scott Bessent being pro-crypto. These are good things for cryptocurrency. So, yeah, that's a very long answer to that question, but those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah. So a lot of things to unpack there. First of all, touching on the ETFs, BlackRock acquiring over 700,000 Bitcoin. Who was it? Michael Saylor and his 17,000 Bitcoin MicroStrategy going over 600,000. That's a telltale sign that something good is happening with crypto, obviously. And I think it's 90% of the reason why Bitcoin broke its all-time high record, going to 121K, because again, that kind of adoption, and as you mentioned, the topic of everyone just following suit after the US doing everything they do, all the other countries just going on a race to acquire more BTC again, and El Salvador becoming the Bitcoin hub, as I like to call it, using volcanic energy, renewable volcanic energy to mine it, which was something insane that I covered on our channel. Tell sign that something good is happening for crypto. But as you mentioned, again, the other things that are happening and the regulation side of things is something that keeps me skeptical and makes me curious and wanting to ask questions to people around me and you for the same reason. Because again, the overall premise of crypto is, of course, be empowered, use what you can use with crypto the way you want to use it. Don't be limited by your country's own national currency. Have the chance to send money anywhere you want, buy anything you want, and not pay these big commissions for getting a transfer of your US dollars to Japanese
Yen.
What was the yens? Yeah, yes, I was about to say yuans.
Close.
Forgive me, Japanese
Okay.
people. But yeah, that's how it happens. And what you usually end up with is something that, of course, becomes a big competition for the governments, the national treasuries, the banks, and that's something that they don't want to compete with. And
Mm.
an unpopular opinion is the fact that if you live in a very heavily governed country, the fact is the banks there are centralized. You usually
Mhm.
won't have a lot of competition with the biggest players. The central banks are essentially going to dictate the
Mhm.
entire playing field, and crypto is something that is, of course, going to compete with that heavily. And if we look at it honestly, crypto is the better alternative. Why would you
Mm.
be so limited? Why would you be so out of everything that is available to you right now in 2025 and just go back to 1980s where basically dependent on that bank giving you your money? And
Yeah.
I think that's the most empowering thing about crypto again. And the way they regulate it, the way they go about it is, of course, again, this centralization. And centralization is always going to be the backbone of everything that a government does with crypto, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Again, if crypto is used in the same example as you said, El Salvador are getting people empowered, they have education, they have zero crime, you're not going to get robbed of your Bitcoin if you're just walking outside the street by some guy.
Mm.
He can't take your wallet with crypto in it because again, it has the keys. I mean, different situations might happen, but still,
Mm.
it's a better alternative to cash too. Because again, as you said, the crimes happen with cash. But going back to the topic of ETFs, this massive accumulation of more than 1 million Bitcoin, actually more than 1.5 million Bitcoin, just by the two biggest companies in the U.S. What do you think about it, and what does that say uh, to us normal guys that are just trading crypto? And what does the future look like for this situation where they're just accumulating as much crypto as they can? And what use can we make of it, us the usual guys?
As you said before, I wholeheartedly agree with you that the Bitcoin all-time high and the real Bitcoin gold rush started once the spot Bitcoin ETF was announced back in October 2023. Bitcoin just really started to pump and just go absolutely crazy. And it fueled so many great little alt rallies on the way up. The interesting thing about it that I've noticed is that at first everyone was so excited when this happened, and we would get Michael Saylor, buying tens of thousands of Bitcoin at a time, and the price would move a little bit, and people were like, wow, this is so incredible. And then they noticed that he honestly top blasts worse than anyone I've ever seen. He buys the top over and over and over, and he just doesn't care. It's because his target is so long term. The one thing that I think people have realized over time is that the man is buying like tens of thousands of Bitcoin, and all these other companies are as well. But is it really moving the needle for the price of Bitcoin? No, it's not. They're not buying it on the exchanges. I'm pretty sure they're doing OTC deals so as not to radically affect the price. Eventually, those OTC Bitcoin will run out, I imagine, sometime. And then those big purchases will drive price, but right now it's not. I think that the idea of the ETFs is great because many people that are in first world countries have access to the stock market. They can buy a gold ETF. You don't have to have physical gold bars. You can have an ETF, which means that the ETF should, unless if it's a spot ETF, they have to have the physical company shares. They have to have the physical gold bars stashed away somewhere. So that means for a Bitcoin ETF, they have to have the physical quote unquote Bitcoin. They have to have access to it to prove that it's backed one to one. So the amazing thing about ETFs is that it's leveled the playing field. A lot of people, especially very wealthy people in the United States, were very trepidatious. It's a really big Scrabble word. Basically, they're like really cautious about buying and holding Bitcoin, knowing that it's so clunky to buy and hold. And if they're trying to inject a lot of money, they don't have a great way to do it. ETFs allow them to allow high net worth individuals to buy a lot or to sell a lot without radically affecting the price of BTC on the spot market, right? The benefits are great for super duper wealthy people. I think a lot of us, including myself originally, I was misled to believe that, oh, ETFs are going to continue driving up the price forever. Michael Saylor buying over and over is going to have this amazing effect. Whereas now we figured out, No, I mean, it's cool. It's like, you're insane, man. I don't know how you keep doing this. But for the most part, no, that those purchases aren't really affecting Bitcoin until the OTC, over the counter, or like the P2P, peer-to-peer transactions, all that Bitcoin dries up, and that will create a supply shock. And the remaining Bitcoin that will be left will be on exchanges, and that should be the thing, that the impetus that sends Bitcoin up higher. I do think ETFs are good, but for like the normal everyday person, like we talked about before, it doesn't really matter.
So it's, yeah, I fully agree with you that it's a very long-term thing. It's like building a hotel and getting back your investment in 30 years,
Mm,
something that your children can probably enjoy. But yeah, it's probably like the biggest long-term thing ever
mhm,
in terms of cryptocurrency trading, if we're going to get into that topic. And when you're accumulating that much Bitcoin, this begs the question, what are you accumulating it for? And
mhm,
there was, of course, this very long battle of getting approvals for the ETFs.
mhm,
Again, SEC denies it, denies it, denies it. Then comes BlackRock with their iShares Bitcoin ETF, and they say, "Oh, we want to do it." And what does it SEC do? Oh well, if you want to do it, well then all the power to you. Here, we're gonna approve it. And that was the weirdest thing.
yeah.
So, do you actually need to get this kind of demand for it? Does it have to be that high to get it approved? And what followed suit was, of course, approvals of Ethereum ETFs, and I think the XRP ETFs are actually coming around very close to approval, very close
Mm,
to getting the deal done, and that's something that we're going to be making a video on too. But
mm,
overall, I think this is like the best thing that happened for crypto in its entire history, because again, it drove the price up, and we're finally seeing this mitigation of this skepticism that was around crypto for the longest time. I mean, a good example was something that I discussed with Scott Milker too, was if you can explain it to your mom and your mom says, wow, that's actually a pretty cool thing,
mm,
then yeah, crypto is something that you can definitely go and talk about, use it, and enjoy it. And
mhm,
so I told my mom about this, and I'm telling her, so this is my job. I do crypto content. And at first she was like, oh, isn't it like these scams? It's not
mhm,
legal in our country. And like, no, 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 mom, it's actually something entirely different. It's essentially a system that empowers people to trade, and use money worldwide and not be limited by, in your country and the national currencies, as I mentioned
mm,
previously. And
mhm,
I'm explaining it to her and the way mining works and why these people have these mining farms and how they make money. And she was like, okay, that makes sense. So it's essentially money, but with extra steps. And that reminded me of that Rick and Morty episode. And yeah, those extra steps are something that are for many people the
mm,
main basis of skepticism, of course, but
yeah.
those are the necessary steps. And again, with the proof of work consensus mechanism, the way it was intended, you would think, oh, that's very inefficient. But of course, there's purpose to that, no double spending, and that was what opened the eyes in crypto for my mom when I
Mm,
was explaining it to her. And what usually happens with every other people, they understand it, they learn about it, they watch content, they're going to watch this interview and I mean this podcast, and they're going to think, okay, so yeah, that makes sense. And the way the countries and the governments approach it is for that and that reason.
mm,
But you know, going away from this political talk, I mean, it's not really political talk, but when we're discussing governments and the ETFs and how they do it, and you can't help but not talk about the governments and get a little bit political. But going off onto the more funny side, what I remember the most out of all the content that I did was the pizza guy, and how he bought
uh,
two pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. These situations happen all the time. Was there any situation similar to that for you where you were like, oh, I just got a big loss, or I made a big win? And what would be that type of situation for you?
Early on, I didn't really appreciate the long-term value of Bitcoin. So as I was learning crypto and understanding it, I was looking into Telegram groups, like trading groups, and one that was posting really good gains. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like they're actually, like, I'm backtracking, I'm looking in to see how things are going. It's like, okay. And they have a private group And to join, it's like, well, it's only 0.1 BTC. And at that time, it was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's not too bad. It's like a couple $100 at the time. It's like, okay, like I think that's worth the investment because that way I get, or it's like, no, it's like no, it was 0.1, I think, or 0.05. I can't remember. But I had enough at the time. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. I think about that every now and then going, that was the dumbest thing I ever did in my life. Like, why did I do that? Right. And again, thinking about Bitcoin at $1 billion one day, then that's $1 million that I'll never get back. So,
Well, it's still
yeah.
$10,000, I think, right now, right? Yeah,
Uh
true.
huh. Like about 12, yeah, 11 grand or so. So it's pretty expensive. Expensive lesson. Not as expensive as the Bitcoin pizza guy. But I think everyone's going to have that moment too where you don't realize or understand the fundamental value of what you're holding, whether it's Bitcoin or an altcoin, especially timing the market. There are certain times where it's like, oh, yeah, I can't wait to buy so much Solana or Ethereum or XRP. And there are times where it's really incredible that you get a deep discount and no one wants to buy. And there are times like right now where everybody is piling in and they're buying near the top and people are thinking, I'm getting such a great deal. There are going to be so many people that come out with their own Bitcoin pizza stories. Like, yeah, I totally top blasted XRP at $4 and I can't believe I did that. Yes.
Gotta agree with you on that. And cryptocurrency trading is such a young thing in its existence, and comparing it to stock exchanges, comparing it to trading overall, um, cryptocurrency trading is still it's at a fetus level of development, I think, because blockchain technology, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, it hasn't existed as long as other things have existed. And I think there is a long way to go for it, but cryptocurrency trading, most of all, the thing that excites me the most about it is the massive gains that you can make, how you can win in crypto trading, how one guy can turn um, 30,000 sheep tokens into $8 billion, or actually it was like millions of tokens that he bought. He turned that into billions, but he couldn't sell it all, of course, and um, that would have actually just crashed the market for the sheep tokens. And so you sit there, you think, oh, okay, I made this trade, I made billions of dollars. How do I cash it out? And if you do cash it out, the price is going to drop, and you're not going to get you're not ever going to get that profit. And see, he still made hundreds of millions of dollars, but still having the thought of, okay, I had billions at some point, and then going to a few million must be just so excruciatingly painful. And this is something that still keeps me away from crypto trading again, because that aspect of potential win and the potential loss is something that scares me to this day. But how do you go about it? How do you uh, not be scared? How do you make your profits? And how do you, as you said, you have like a 98% strategy on how to do the stop loss, if I got that correctly. How do you
Yes,
go about it?
kind of, sort of, yeah. I would say, actually, to touch back on what you said before, I think because crypto is a smaller market compared to the global financial markets and like Forex markets and stuff, that even the stock market, there are so many rules in play that are not followed in crypto. They have like same day trading rules for the stock market. They have rules for Forex markets and commodities markets, stuff like that. In crypto, there are no rules really. So you actually have way more freedom. And there are also lots of decentralized trading platforms. Hyperliquid has been doing an incredible job being a decentralized platform where you can just do whatever, you can trade whatever you want. They have X stocks on there. So essentially it's tokenized stocks. Um, but the fact that you don't have to use an exchange anymore, that you can just trade freely, you just connect your wallet. I think there's a lot of freedom that crypto provides. Now, the type of trading that I do is different. So I have my portfolio divided into basically long-term holds. I have my trading stack, and then I have my futures. So trading with leverage, trading with futures, I'm literally using just the smallest little amount, like less than 10% of my total net worth is in futures. Actually, I'd say less than 5, just because that's super high risk in my opinion. There's some people that only trade futures and only perps. I get it. But for me, it's just hasn't been a really positive experience mentally or financially, if you know what I mean.
That's what
So
I'm saying. Yeah,
the spot
it's
market has been
insane.
way better for me to trade. So I there are times where I will use a stop loss, In a bear market, I will use a stop loss for every trade. But after we finish the bear market, I'm going to be defaulting to using a DCA strategy, a dollar cost averaging strategy. So basically what I do is I've trained myself to not go into any position, even now, even when things are crazy bullish popping. I will never, ever ape into a chart, even if it's all the signs are incredible, the stars are aligning, everyone's on board. I'm not going to do it because I've learned my lesson too many times. So if I want to chase, I'll use a very basically I'll split up my trading portfolio into like 10 stacks, so like 10%. And of that 10%, I'm going to inch in with just a little bit. And then I'm preparing myself mentally for any sort of drawdown because crypto is already so volatile compared to the stock market, compared to Forex and commodities. So I am pre-programmed to expect drawdown, but also desire it. Because if I'm inching in with a little bit at $100 and it happens to fall down to 90, other people will be panicking, freaking out. I'm happy though, because I have the majority of my stack left on the side and I'm going to inch in a little bit more. If it falls more, I'm going to inch in more. And it's going to average down my entry to the point where the smallest little bump that returns back up, I close out the position in way more profit than my initial tiny little size at the beginning. So this strategy is what I use with bots. And that's the other part that really helps a lot because I'm only awake for 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day. And I'm also not able to watch the charts. I'm not able to always be trading, always keeping track of things. I'm going to miss some sort of news. I'm going to miss some sort of market event. So I leverage automated trading tools, and we've created some free bot signals that we have through a platform called AllTrading, which is a third-party trading platform. So basically, they execute all the trades on all the supported exchanges that they have for me automatically. So I receive a signal, the bot executes a buy order, and it has all the predetermined extra buy orders, the DCA orders, and the take profit. So as it fills those orders, it sells, boom, it's done. I don't even know about it. I wake up, it's like, oh, cool. I just made like $50. That's amazing. So when there's volatility, it's actually a gift in disguise. But the problem is that most people that are trading futures, if there's volatility in the market and Bitcoin dumps 10%, it's going to liquidate so many people, right? But if you're on the spot market, even if your position's down 20%, 30%, I made a video a couple weeks ago about how I was down 55% on a position and I was still able to close it in the green in profit at 20%. So like it's insane. Like the reason why I love crypto is because it's so emotional and it's also so forgiving. There are crazy whips and dips in both directions. So if you learn how to navigate them and how to ride the waves, proverbially, it can work out to be very lucrative. It just depends, how are you going to allocate your funds? Are you going to really trust a DCA strategy because it's not built for everybody? And then just rinse, repeat, just doing it over and over. So you're in like a Zen-like state under this waterfall of FOMO and fear and all this stuff. And you're just like, oh, this is amazing. I love this. This is fantastic. I can do this. It just works out.
Yeah, I resonate with what you said. I mean, it all comes down to just mitigating the most amount of risk that you can mitigate, essentially. And yeah, that's what references my videos too. Again, when I was talking about FOMO and FUD and cryptocurrency trading and the way you need to, watch out for all these things, not, trade more than you can afford to lose, which is like the best advice I think there is. Just don't put all your money into a futures trade. You never know what can happen. There are so many risks. There are cryptocurrency, and there are crypto whales that can manipulate the market, that can initiate a buy order for $10 billion and never go through with it, but the market has already been affected by it. And of course, there's the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that is being spread on a daily basis through multiple media, corporations. Forbes is probably one of the biggest haters of Bitcoin that I've ever seen. And most of the scams that I cover and most of the exploits that I cover, I've probably seen on Forbes, because they're usually the ones that are going to be on point and saying, crypto bad, $100 million lost, never trust Bitcoin or whatever. And so that's how it usually goes. I mean, I still, with all of this advice, the amount of caution that you need, the amount of things that can happen, and the amount of information that you need to take into consideration is just pretty much immense. And as you mentioned, you're awake for only 16, 18 hours at a time. And if you're there sitting, using all of that time to trade, you're probably missing out on life. And, your children are probably not going to be happy with you if you happen to be like a father. But still, cryptocurrency trading is such a fascinating thing. It's something that can make you so excited. It's something that can change your life around. But again, it is something that can also take away lots of things that you are, pretty much prepared to lose if you're willing to put 100% of your portfolio into a futures trade. And so some crypto whale manipulates the market and says, "Oh, I just want to do this. I want to make sure everyone loses." And bam, you wake up, you go to like a Telegram channel, and it says $8 billion liquidated just this morning for all these traders, and you think, okay, $8 billion is probably something that can keep a country running for a year or something like that. And you think,
Yeah.
wow, that's just immense.
I
So
know.
yeah, thank you for sharing the outlook on crypto trading for yourself, because again, it's something that resonates with me a lot, and it was something that I enjoyed hearing a lot too. And so my final question for you is, what's next for you? Because again, actually, I was meaning to ask you why you named yourself Moonin Papa on your channel at the start, but I totally forgot about it. So this is the last question before the last question. Let's hear it.
The reason why is because when I launched my channel in 2018, I wanted to remain anonymous. Many other crypto YouTubers at the time were using monikers, like stage names, fake names. So I was trying to figure out what to pick. And my wife really likes the Moomin troll stories from Tove Jansson. It's like a Finnish author, I believe. And she had like a Moomin Papa guy who looks like a white, like hippo, basically, with a top hat and a cane. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do that because I'm a dad, and like Moomin Papa sounds funny, whatever. As the channel grew, unexpectedly so, it's like starting to get a little bit cautious and worried about some sort of copyright claim or some sort of legal action taken from them. So I changed it to Moonin Papa, which is very similar to Moomin. So even if someone's watching an older video, they could hear Moomin, but maybe it's Moonin. So it's really similar. And of course, mooning, aside from like dropping your drawers and showing your butt to people, mooning is actually
I knew
when
there would be something there.
mooning is when a chart is going parabolic, when it's going to the moon. So that's why Moonin
Yeah,
Papa.
I had an
Yeah,
idea that it was connected to the moon because you're a crypto trader and
yeah.
that's how you usually do things. But yeah, thank you for explaining that. I lived in Norway for like, the longest time. I've been
Mm,
there since I was 11 years old.
mm,
And I lived there for like 4 years, and I was aware of all these trolls and
mm-hmm,
how they have just this such popular, I guess, like fantasy,
mm-hmm.
community behind it. Because again, the trolls are something that is inherently Scandinavian and how that happens. And so yeah, I'm very glad to see that
Yeah.
there is a bit of a connection there too, especially with something that your wife enjoys. And
Mm,
yeah, couldn't be more happy for that kind of a name. I mean, the etymology of it and how you kind of connected and went with it, and how it also intersects with crypto is nothing short of amazing. So,
yeah.
last question before we go. We've been going at this for an hour. I wish we could have taken it for a bit more, but what's your general take on cryptocurrency trading nowadays? Is it a good time? Is it a bad time? And what would you say to the people watching this video? And what would be your final message to them as a
Mm.
CDA or something to, inspire them to, make them have food for thought about crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain trading, all that stuff?
I would say right now is the best time to trade as of the filming of this video in September 2025. I am fairly confident that we're going to start entering the bear market probably in mid-December, which means that Bitcoin will probably fall down anywhere between 75 to 80%. We'll see alts fall down between 80 to 95, 99%, depending. So the reason why I say trading is a good idea right now is because I'm looking at scaling out of a lot of my positions that I've been holding for a couple of years. I bought the majority of my Bitcoin back at 20K, 21K. So I'm sitting pretty right now. But for other people that are just getting into it, while Bitcoin is a great long-term play, if you're looking to make some money, short-term trading would make a lot of sense. The higher it goes, like it basically we're just near the very end. So yes, you can make some good money on Bitcoin, but just be attentive to your emotions. If you're starting to feel really greedy, if you're noticing yourself feeling overly confident, every single position you're in is in the green. It's usually not like that. Most of the time you're going to be in the red, waiting in the red, or you're going to be stopped out. So that's another thing to pay attention to. I will say that there will be lots of other coins that start to go higher and higher, and people are really emphatically screaming from the rooftops, buy this coin, buy that coin. That's also a very clear top signal. So yes, you will be able to make a ton more money trading altcoins, but understand that a lot of those altcoins have a very steep drawdown during a bear market. So yes, this is a good time to trade. I'm going to be doing less trading in the bear market in terms of spot trading. I'm going to be shorting the market with futures, but I'm also going to be using my stable coins to earn a passive yield as well. So there are lots of different options in crypto that make it interesting. I don't have to just trade, but I'll tell you this, I'm not going to be hodling all the way down to like 35K for Bitcoin and everything else falling like way lower. There's no point. I want to make sure that I'm taking profits on the way up. I'm preserving capital during the bear market so I can repeat the cycle just like I've done 3 times over now and buy the dip at the end of 2026. That's what I'm planning on.
Wow. I mean,
Happy ending.
I would say, yeah, that's a happy ending. I I generally have a good time on podcasts, and usually what I end up is what I end up with is just a lot of food for thought. And now I'm just so keen on asking you all of these questions about why you think it's going to go into the bear market, why is it going to happen, why is it going to go like this and that. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the time for that, and hopefully, we can actually take it up on another time, and that could be a good discussion too. I mean, I love cryptocurrency predictions. I made a video on some of the most wild cryptocurrency predictions in the entire history of crypto. John McAfee saying that he would eat his, you know
Yep.
what, if
Yep.
Bitcoin didn't go up that time. But yeah, it's a favorite topic of mine. I'm really sad that I didn't get to discuss it with you here. But overall, very happy. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and answering all those questions that I had for you. It was just such a good time. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely, Turpal. Thanks again for having me on.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was it. And my final message to all the people, as usual, stay safe, stay curious, do your own research, and take it easy.